depending on wherever you are joining us from. We have a diverse board here, obviously. So it's really great to see such strong leaders here today. Thank you for taking time to join us, and a very warm welcome to all our speakers. This is meant to be a relaxed and open conversation. So we appreciate the discussion to have practical insights and case studies. Today, we are coming together to talk about something that's on almost every brand leader's mind right now. Brands of tomorrow, everything about SEO and the transition to GEO, AEO, AIO. The main tagline being how not to become dinosaur in the age of AI. Search and discovery are changing fast. We are moving away from a world where it was only about keywords and rankings into one where AI systems and are answering questions, summarizing the content, and even deciding which brands get surfaced in the first place. So the real question for today is not whether these things are changing, but the question here is how the brand should respond, what we should rethink, what we should unlearn, and what should we start doing differently if we want to stay relevant in an AI-driven ecosystem. There's no fixed presentations or anything, so it's just an open discussion. And before we dive in, just a quick word about who's bringing us together today. The AI World Organization, or AIWO, is a global not-for-profit community that brings together over 5,000 AI leaders, CEOs, policymakers, and innovators worldwide. For more than a decade, AIWO has been focused on one core idea: bridging the gap between the cutting edge AI innovation and what actually works in the real world. The organization is supported and advised by an AI council that includes leaders from Google DeepMind, Hugging Face, Anthropic, Cohere, Mistral, NVIDIA, along with 100 plus leading AI and government organizations across regions like Europe, APAC, the Middle East, and Australia. Across 25 plus countries and 70 plus cities, AIWO operates three guiding principles: AI for good, AI for all, and AI for innovation and impact. We are also joined today by our partner for this roundtable, IcyPluto. IcyPluto is the agentic AI universe for marketers, the company who created and launched world's first AI CMO and AI SDR. Emerged as an offshoot of Rabbit AI, backed by tech giants like NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, etc., we have created an agentic AI platform for marketing and sales leaders, which acts as their co-pilot. They are helping brands not to become dinosaurs in the age of AI. They have two key products. First is GeoMax, that helps brands optimize their site and content for LLMs or AI search engines and dominate their visibility in AI searches. Second is FireReach AI, that is the AI SDR, intelligent multi-channel sales outreach automation. So far, they have powered 120 plus top brands globally like Target, Pinterest, Woodland, McCain, Lenovo, HSBC, Shopify, Wix, Yes Bank, Myntra, Blackberries, Pioneer, and PepsiCo, etc. We have a diverse panel of speakers here, obviously, from London, Australia, Spain, Rome, India. So let me just introduce you all with today's moderator, Mr. Haneet Singh, popularly known as the Lion founder among the AI community, the Chief AI Officer at Rabbit AI, and CEO, Chief Extraterrestrial Officer at IcyPluto. He's a serial entrepreneur, having built 5 plus companies and 1 billion plus in business. He has served as an AI consultant with South Korean Navy for developing self-learning generative AI-powered system for mind warfare. Over to you, Haneet, to take this discussion.
Thank you, Vinayak, and thank you, everyone, and very warm welcome to all of you. So, just to give you a brief background, as Vinayak was telling, so I started building in AI much before AI was a hype. And when people were saying that the only people making money with AI are the ones who are telling people how to make money with AI, right? So we were in AI from that space when AI was considered not even considered a buzzword and all. So from background, I'm a developer and engineer turned entrepreneur. I founded 5 companies, sold 1 company, and raised $few million as well, and took my business to $1 billion plus in revenue and P&L. And with the recent advent, so we've been in the marketing space and martech space for a decade and a half. And with the recent advent of Gen AI, I'm on the board and one of the founders and CEO for IcyPluto, which when I was introducing. And the purpose of having this is to learn from various leaders like you and the brands like you, how AI visibility specifically, very focused topic. AI visibility is impacting our marketing strategies. What are the best ways to answer questions like, is SEO really dead? To clear myths around how to go about ranking in AI engines. What is the real context? How do brands of tomorrow build AI first strategies? And a lot of hundreds of questions which we keep getting from our community. We have a global community. We have a CMOs council as well, where people keep on asking these questions, and all the conferences across the globe which we do along with the AI World organization. These are the questions which were there. So this event is also a pre-event of the world physical event which is happening in the AI World Asia Summit, IMF International Marketing Fiesta on 28th of May, Singapore. Right. So, and we are doing a series of these events and masterclasses. The target audience, if I also briefly tell for to make the discussion very focused, is the most of the people who will tune in are the ones who are aspiring marketeers, people who want to make a career in marketing. One, there's another segment which are CEOs and founders and CMOs who are looking to implement it for their brands, learning from others. And three, there are people who are building in the marketing space and how they can learn from the insights of leaders like you. So these are the three target audiences, and I'll jump to maybe the agenda. So we will probably have some questions to establish the problem statement to set the context, and then we'll want insights and maybe practical case studies and examples of how AI-driven marketing is actually giving ROI. So in the AI space, and just to add the last thing, so when AI started, right, and we started having a lot of these conversations. So we say there's a lot of hype, but I read a poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge during my school days, which is water, water everywhere. All the boats did shrink, water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink, right? Which signifies this. How many of you have heard this poem by this water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink? Like maybe a quick show of hands. So so that signifies a situation where you are surrounded by, you are in an ocean, but you can't even consume a drop of water when you need it. I believe somewhere or the other, AI was in that space, and AI everywhere. Where are all the perks? AI everywhere. Show me an AI that works. So that was the equivalent analogy which we asked, that let's talk about AI that works. Let's talk about strategies which are working. And because the world is full of hype and overload of information and stuff like that. But this is very pointed move that, okay, maybe these are the areas which are drastically changing. These are the areas where practically we are seeing some implementation. These are the problems which needs to be solved together as a community. So the discussion can highlight some of these instances. So maybe we'll move to anyone can volunteer to be the first one, and maybe if we can first start the context with the fundamental difference between 10 years back and today in terms of digital marketing, if we say the visibility via search engines and all. So what are the top two, three fundamental differences which we are observing in the consumer market? Sure, Dan. Uh, please move forward with that.
Yeah, I was actually it made me think what you said about the drop of water. Water is everywhere but nowhere to drink. I felt like that actually. At first, I was like, "What are you talking about?" But then I remembered. It's like 2013. I'm begging natural language processing platforms to onboard me as a client, and they're like, "Oh, do you like? How big are you? Oh, small agency. No, can't get on. Oh, I work with big clients," and they're like, "No. It's just what." So the barrier to entry, like 2012, 13, even 14, was really hard. and the technology was there. The natural language processing was there, but wasn't accessible to a common person.
Right.
Only like godlike figures, like multi-million-dollar entities had that ability. So what happened, really, the biggest difference, in my opinion, what happened is the technology suddenly became accessible with the large language model advancement. That presentation, it wasn't just the presentation layer, but it's the enablement and agentic abilities. So to me, I would like to highlight that as my personal favorite of all the things that happened. And I do have one article that I wrote in 2013, wishful thinking more or less, and I said we'll be chatting to Google in 2023, and I'm so happy to live in that future. It could have been so much worse, and if it wasn't for OpenAI kicking up some dust and motivating Google, we wouldn't have been there still. So good times for us.
Lovely. I'd love to probably get that article offline as well. So very interesting. Yeah, Beatrice, please, you want to go next? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. With all the hands raised, my meet was crashing, but I think you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can relate to what Dan was saying, especially because I started working at WordLift, which is also technically a smaller agency compared to, big techs. And we also work in we've always been working in the knowledge graph space, which is a kind of niche as well. So I started working at WordLift like almost 10 years ago now. And there was no definition of, there was a definition of AI, but we couldn't figure how it would have looked like a mass adoption level. So I believe that also, as Dan stated, I believe that OpenAI with the dialogue interface has really broken through what seemed like technology that only few could adopt. And it brought it to the masses and gave like concrete use cases and ways to use it. And even though we are kind of still figuring it out, I believe that it's a great means for everyone. Right now, in the past 10 years, also my role has changed, and now I'm fostering innovation and technologies like, of course, generative AI, knowledge graphs, and knowledge organization, knowledge management tools like ontologies to the big companies, and even and to different teams in such a way that they can be successful use cases, because there's a lot of budget allocated for AI in big companies, but there is not a clear idea on how to use them. So sometimes it's just a rush towards the best tool or what someone has read online, but there's not much clarity about, like, practically, how do we bring value to our clients and to our internal departments.
Got it. I guess that's a very clear articulation of the problem statement. The world is changing very fast. Technology has become accessible in the past 2-3 years. And as Dan was saying, the entire search era, which was dominant from 2000s, maybe from the internet revolution time. So that 20-25-year industry history is kind of getting rewritten, and we're in very interesting times and spaces today. So building upon that, if I go now very focused on the marketing for the brands, right? A lot of you come from the marketing leader side, and a lot of you come from the agency side. So if we focus the dialogue more towards how this technology, how do you see the consumer differences, like of discovering brands, visibility in the brands? We all know that earlier it was mostly Google search, right? And a lot of traffic was coming from Google search, and the biggest for organic marketing, digital marketing, the biggest focus was either SEO or performance marketing, right? And if we go to SEO, it was majorly keywords and link building. majorly these two things, which was ruling the industry for past 15, 20 years. And I guess all of the marketing companies were focusing on keywords, keyword density, keyword stuffing, as well as backlinks, right? Links from building the authorities of the pages. Because Google bots, I used to say that Google bots and those bots, search bots, they did not have a mind. They were dumb, right? So they were only matching the keywords, yeah, and ranking the page basis, someone else saying something about that page, as well as matching the keywords. But with AI engines, they have their mind of their own. They have some memory, they have mind, they know the real world, they're trained on some data like that. So AI world is entirely, different how people are perceiving, using AI to perceive your brand. So we want some insights. I guess two people have already raised their hands. So we'll go to you one by one of what shifts are you changing. And people are calling it with different names. Somebody's calling it GEO, somebody's calling it AIO, AEO, LLM SEO, AI SEO. So we use all of them synonymously in for this discussion. Or maybe some of you can also highlight some differences. But GEO, generative engine optimization, or AEO, answer engine optimization, or AIO, AI overview optimization of Google. Specifically, if we talk about that, how do you see the traffic, the shift, the brand strategies coming together in this? So maybe we go one by one, the number one person who raised hands, and then we go to Shamendra and then Pei. Yeah. Yeah.
So I will start eventually because the classic silence when nobody's called out. So first of all, just a clarification is about something that you just said. I think that there is some sort of cognitive disconnection in what SEOs or part of SEO practitioner were doing, what Google was really understanding, telling us through its paper, through its patent, through its announcement, and so on. Because it's true that classic, between two big giant brackets, SEO for the biggest part of the industry was everything you just said. But Google actually was telling us we are doing passage ranking, we are starting to do neural matching, we are starting to do so many things. They invented the transformer, they presented BERT, all these kind of news that also before, even in somehow the prehistory with schema in 2000, I think it was 2010 or even before, Google was clearly telling us where it was going. So if outside of a classic contingency of work, talking with clients and blah, 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 maybe the most advanced people in SEO were already preparing themselves and were already implementing strategies based on these kind of things. That's why, for instance, so many people are saying that, okay, all these things that we are seeing nowadays are exploding, but actually many of the things that are thought to be functioning well were already present in the past. Maybe simply people weren't really implementing them or taking care of them when creating their own strategies and tactics. So this is, for me, and that's why we sometimes see this kind of polemics and discussion and so on. I don't want to enter in the polemic of a terminology and acronyms, but somehow I found also as a sterile discussion. What I've seen is from, let's say, business point of view, it's that all of a sudden, maybe because it's so disruptive, the eruption was so disruptive, the eruption of LLMs, that us as SEO maybe never had such a big opportunity to somehow going out from the basement, and sit in the same table with the stakeholders in a not, let's say, nerd position, We are the people who can explain in plain English how things are working, thanks to our knowledge, thanks to our experiment. For instance, Dan and Beatrice are really into experimenting with AI models, and I think this is in the relationship between expert and business company. This is the biggest news. It's not just a business company telling you we have this to do this, we need the SEO, and then somehow forget it. In, Not always was so, but in the biggest amount of cases, it was so. So this is for me the biggest change. Not really what's in what was Google or then OpenAI and all the others were substantially evolving into, and it's more a business relationship between the professionals and the business.
Got it. I guess very interesting point. If I just summarize, just tell me if I summarize, if I got your intent correctly. So you see, basically with these changes with AI coming into the picture, the SEO practitioners have a bigger canvas to play right now, correct? And the brand, and they can actually they have a lot of things and a lot of variables where they can actually make a brand become more visible. The stakeholder and the stakes of the SEO practitioners that they have increased, right? And on the other side, there are a lot of experiments which brands can also do to get visibility from various areas, right? Um so moving to maybe Shamendra. So you represent manufacturing industry, right? Or I guess software services for the manufacturing industry, or the technology for manufacturing industry. Very diverse industry. Would like to hear your views right now, what changes, and specifically what impact in the marketing you are seeing from the AI POV.
Yeah, so I mean, just to build on to what Dan, Patrice, and Giancarlo said, I think neither of the platforms and neither of the technologies have died. Everything evolves, and in what Belden covers, right? So which is digitization, and then moving into IT/OT convergence. We say it's a cycle. You don't go from 0 to 100 in one step. There are different steps you take now. So the steps could be uniform and it could be linear. Some of them may not be. So everybody is in a different stage. This is not just brands, but even people who are accessing and using these technologies. So my grandmom would probably have no idea how to use AI today. And if she wanted to do a search on her phone, right, today she basically goes to YouTube and writes saying, uh, I'll use an Indian reference, right? She'll say, I want to hear a bhajan. And she'll just write that, right? She's not looking for anything more than that. So if you relate this back to any industry, I think the consumers outside are going to continue to use all platforms. It's just which one they want to use, which one they are, at what path of their journey they are. Is somebody advanced enough to write the right question, ask the right prompt to get the answer? Are they good enough? Or sometimes even if you have the tool available, if you're not able to ask the right questions, which is what AEO and GEO does, right? You have to ask them the right question for them to give you the answer. They obviously have built on from just giving you a link to giving you something which is now not just a word search, but looking at what the companies are talking about. And then the advanced version where they actually think for themselves and say, if you're wanting to get to know, the best agency available that can help you with building an AI platform, these are what they are doing, this is what they are building, and these are examples that they have put out in the market, right? So that's the whole journey, from rather than just a link to just an article to be actually giving you the answer. So I think all of these, from a marketing perspective, every organization is in a different journey. So you can't just forget about what you used to do earlier and just go to the other side. It will continue, it'll be a journey. You will continue to be on all bandwagons till a period of time, till one of the bandwagons completely dies. So that would be my thought from a marketing side when I look at what we've done at Belden, or what I speak to other colleagues, is They're covering all aspects. How fast on each of these areas do they build in? How quickly they bring that technology into and sit on that bandwagon and move forward will depend on what they want to do and what their customers are asking for.
Got it, got it. And very interesting. I'll give an analogy, right? Let's say when e-commerce was coming and there was physical commerce, right? When Amazon was building. So e-commerce is a new way for people to discover products and maybe order them and maybe get access to them. But today also we see 20 years down the line, both the platforms coexist. You have a Walmart and Target and all the malls and stores which are there, and then you have online platforms like Amazon and eBay and Flipkart and all of them. I guess they coexist. So maybe I guess this is a new channel for marketeers to get new customers, new visibility. But does not mean what you're saying is essentially does not mean that your older SEO or other channels of getting visibility or getting customers into your shop is not going anywhere, right?
The amount may continue to reduce.
Yeah.
It depends on how people are using it outside, right? So we to your analogy, right, everybody said that mom and pop stores are going to die.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
haven't. There was a brief period in time where they actually picked up. So a lot of it depends on market dynamics. Sorry. At times, like Vinayak said right at the start, right, there's no one right answer. So we can't just say that this is it. We are going to go full hog, all out onto one side. Yes, we can. But I think that's a decision that every organization would take depending on who their customers are. I think trust is the biggest issue that has always existed, whether it was earlier your word searches, today linking or asking generative questions.
Yeah.
Trust is one thing that will always exist. And as long as you can build that and showcase that to your customer, they would want to come and search for you in whichever platform and whatever technology they use.
Interesting. Very interesting. Got it. Pei, we'll move to you to get your insights. And I'll just add one more question for you. Specifically, so right now it was more about problem setting. I'll also start with you another question along with this. How are brands responding to it? What is the, like, let's say right now when we are making marketing strategies, what are the things
Right.
keeping in mind?
Okay, so I'm currently working in Canon. I have a different problem. The problem is not about whether or not my brand can be seen visibly. Everyone knows what Canon provides, right? Camera, printers. But we have had a range of new solutions being brought into the market that perhaps not so visible. So for example, we have surveillance analytics. We're able to spot a patient that may have fallen off a bed and be able to alert someone to that, or safety gears not being put on properly. So things, these new solutions that we've brought on board, AI generative, information to document management systems. So my problem will be not that my brand is not being seen, but my brand is being seen in a space where someone is searching for it and see Canon, but yet would not dismiss the fact that it's Canon. So for me, what we had to do, which I mean, it's part of SEO, and now the more so AEO is very important to be seen as part of that generative answers coming out from Google Analytics, and that we are seen as someone who has been given good advice, good blogs, articles. So we had to make sure that all this are being reflected in our website. More so for us than I think any other brands out there, or maybe a lesser known brand or brands that wants to be seen more visible. So we have to make sure that all this are done. And we have also discovered, for example, that blogs should be connected. They shouldn't be disconnected. So we had to think about creating a library worth of it to make sure that Google thinks of us as someone worthy, if you put it in that way, of putting ourselves seen there. So our challenge is actually there because, like I said, everyone knows what Canon, who Canon is, but they do not know that we provide some different solutions to it. So for us, it's a different type of struggle. But like you said, the basic is still there. The different platforms will still need to be done. The foundations will still need to be done. It's not gone. It's just gone on to a different level, so as to be seen more visible.
Very interesting. And I guess that's also the thing, because when we think of Canon, the first printing and the stationery, and that is the first thing which comes to mind. So I guess the problem for you is to diversify your brand, right? Or maybe link.
Yes.
I was not aware of this surveillance solution.
We're doing our best.
Yeah, right. So maybe SEO, GEO, and roundtables like these also help in awareness. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Coming back, so pretty interesting problem, I guess, the diversification or linking to newer products and getting visible in generative engines from there. Again, so we'll come to you, Beatrice. I guess you've raised hand as well, and plus a general question for everyone to move this thing. So we have heard content is king, right? For the past 15 years, 20 years, content is king. And then with AI coming in, we say context is king, right? So we've been hearing a lot of kings. We don't know really who's the queen. So, right? So basically, jokes apart, what I want to understand from you, how is your content strategy changing uh, today? If we talk of very recent times, 2 3 years, and we want to know it from the brand side as well, and from the agency side as well, for your clients, how do you think, maybe could some specific examples of how we used to think of creating blogs and articles and pieces yesterday, and maybe how we are doing it today, and some practical insights which also can help our watchers and people who have tuned in to understand. So we go one by one. How is the content changing, and who's really the queen, right? Who's deciding? Not the king. We're not any more interested in king. We're really interested in the queen, who is behind all these marketing trends. So coming back, how is the content changing? How do you see content today? And the same question which I asked Pei, that how are brands adapting AI in their marketing strategy? So two questions and n number of answers I can expect. So maybe we can go one by one. Yeah. We go to Jess first because Jess has not spoken even once. And then we go to Beatrice and Gianluca. Yeah. Sure.
So I think for me, the key of content is you need to expect that many of the snippets are being read offsite. And so previously we've relied on the person's landing on the website, they're acknowledging the header, branding, and logo, then they're reading the piece, and they're doing that heavy mental lifting of connecting the insights that they got from the article to the website that they're on, which, being frank, the vast majority of readers never did in the first place. And now it's getting even worse because now that key snippet, that information gain, that most valuable piece that you've written about is smudged in with 7 other pieces of value on ChatGPT or on AI mode or on whatever LLM surface it's being presented on. And so all of a sudden, you've got a big branding challenge because just having that citation, we can see from the click-through data, that's not enough. That's not going to get you the previous brand traction that you did before. And so what we need to think about when we're creating either text assets or visual assets or video assets is how do we build the branding into that piece and not rely on the logo at the top of it. And so there's very simple tactics you can do with this. So for example, if I'm writing a report, I'm not going to call it, our report on security. I'm going to call it the Canon report on security. And so that brand name, that entity name, that credit is built in because LLM is not going to cite our report, never, but it will cite the Canon report or whatever your brand name is. Obviously, I'm using Canon as an example because of their presence on the call. So that's one little easy, very simple trick that you can build into your content. Write your brand name in your content. It's good for traditional SEO, it's good for AI SEO, it's good for readership and general branding. It's a win-win-win type situation. That similarly goes for your visual pieces. So a lot of people are cutting corners and have always cut corners with visuals. They see it as fluff in the piece, or they just use stock imagery to break up the text. You never should have been doing that in the first place. But again, particularly now, don't do that. Ensure that if you've got a key statistic, you've got information gain, you've got a quote, you've got something special, put that in the text, attribute it to your brand, put that in a visual, and make sure that is attributed to your brand by using distinctive brand assets. Put your logo, the little square one on the bottom of the image. Use your brand colors, use your brand style. Find a way so that when I look at that image, I say, I know that brand. and then that brand gets the credit in the user's mind for whatever the information gain was. That's for me the biggest change that we're going through at this point in time.
Pretty interesting. And I'll also, I guess, very, very tactical and practical insights. Thanks for that, Jess. And totally relate to that, I guess, the example you mentioned of citing the entity, right? In AI terms, that's called entity. So, however, so number of entities which AI knows, if your content has a lot of those entities, relevance of your content goes up, right? Any proper noun is an entity because AI has already learned all that data in its memory. So when you say Canon, it definitely understands what is Canon. When you say Apple, it understands Apple as a fruit as well. It also understands Apple as a brand. So it's on you in your content how you can cite. So a simple example, I would say for IcyPluto, what we have tried. So we covered thought leadership content and all the content of how David Ogilvy's copywriting style was there, how different brands keep on doing different, content and brands and very unique content, plus our insights and analysis. And that analysis driven content which we have written about, insights on how Disney is doing something, how Apple did something, how a couple of other brands, they are trying a different marketing move. And we got cited in a lot of AI responses because when people are searching about Apple's campaign and this and that, so we were among top 3, top 5 citations, even after being a newer brand. And I guess that thing, the entity mentioning very well works. And I guess second important thing, what we have seen is the YouTube videos, right? So a lot of LLMs, what we see, are able to understand YouTube videos and they cite some snippets from there. So we are seeing brands to also adopt a very video first strategy where their YouTube videos, they need to be having a schema, they need to be having subtitles, and they need to be indexed in a way that LLMs understand that. LLMs are able to pass that, and they're embedded with the JSON format in their website itself. So the citations go up because I guess LLMs have some affinity with video content. Like these are empirical things. I don't know. Would love to hear your views and your experiments with that. But what we have seen, YouTube, of course, Reddit is there. Reddit is publicly known. It gives Reddit a lot of weightage. But YouTube is another thing which we have seen getting a lot of this thing, specifically the owned YouTube channel as well as other YouTube channels where you are talking of the founders or the authority person of the brand is talking about something and it gets covered very fast. This is our empirical observation. So moving on, I guess, Beatrice, we'll go to you next. You want to add to this specifically?
Yeah. So in terms of content, I think that the question that we have been asking ourselves the most, at least at WordLift, and I know that Dan has too, because he recently wrote a post about it, is, are people actually reading content? So we are always wondering that, are we writing for machines or are we writing for humans? Because reality is that, especially at corporate level, no one reads content. We are just asking ChatGPT or any other LLM to just summarize. And because these tools now know ourselves, we may ask, find the insights that are more useful for a person like me and my role, and what can I gain from this article. And of course, because of this practice, also content has to adapt in such a way. So every piece of content has to align to a certain personas. So lately at WordLift, we've been focusing heavily on building the personas before anything else. I mean, we've always been doing that, but these are specific for both data and content. So because we start working with data, so we organize our clients' data sets, and for us, content also is in a way data that we put out there. So we always have to wonder, like, what is this? Who's going to read this content? And lately, we have been deploying a very large editorial content calendar. So we produced 800 articles in 6 months as an experiment for a client and part of the contract. And we went basically from almost zero to having these baseline of 800 articles. And how we designed the content calendar was based mostly on the persona. So are we touching points? Are we touching the topics that our core stakeholders are going to find interesting? And then these articles contains different level of knowledge about every single topic. So there were both niche content types and more somewhere guides. So we covered everything. And this gives both machines and human readers value. But at the end of the day, the goal is always to bring, value to the ultimate reader, to the person who is going to read, which is going to be either via an AI as intermediary or directly as a human person. So at the end of the day, the tactic does not need to change, but we have to think that our content can be, chunked up or rewritten by machines. And of course, this changes how we build our content calendars and editorial calendars.
Very interesting. Just curious, a follow-up question to that. In what time did you build it, all the content, and what time did you publish it? And maybe any comments? Does velocity also matters? How much blogs? I know for the matter of fact that fresh content matters. There was a study which says that for GEO, fresh content matters. But any ideas and insights on what is the frequency of posting for maybe a type of industry, and what is the word length? Any specifics if you can share, Beatrice, I guess that will be really, really helpful. And then other people, if you have insights on that, would love to know that really, because I guess there's no standard slate, no standard rules. It's just experimentation, and what we figured out, that's working for humans at large, and that's working for AI models at large. So now we have two wives to satisfy. One is human and one is AI, right? So probably, any insights on the velocity, the frequency, the length of the content on that part, Beatrice, for this particular case study?
Yeah, because we created a whole new section for this specific blog articles on our client side. So basically, we started almost from zero. As I said, they had a very low frequency publishing workflow. And we started off slower, so publishing like 1 or 2 articles per week. And then we started scaling as soon as we saw that Google was indexing the articles, and it was progressively indexing all of the articles, because at the end of the day, they were AI generated, but also humanly reviewed. So we made sure that everything was in place. And we also had, of course, the article markup. So we were signaling to Google and the AI systems everything that we could. So Google started indexing the articles, and we saw traffic spiking. And then we started progressively adding more and more articles. And at the end of the day, we were able to produce 100 articles per week, and we would publish like 20 to 30 per week.
20 to 30
per week. And this was the baseline. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not necessarily a matter of volume. Mm-hmm. And also this was a means for us to experiment. But again, we started with a site that had that was not giving any meaningful signal to Google. So all of the topics and content that we added was not there before. So Google found this was a positive change for the site, because we are not delivering any sloppy content. So this is also something to factor in, to always make sure that even if you're producing high volume of content, it still has to be meaningful and trustable in a way.
Got it. Very interesting. And just quickly, would it be possible for you to reveal the industry and maybe something about that, so that it's easier to index that what industry was this, or what was the use case of these articles, like what kind of consumers and traffic it was attracting?
Yeah, it's an enterprise level company in the translation industry.
Okay, got it. So most of the consumers will be business users, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Businesses
It's
looking
mostly B2B.
B2B.
So
Interesting.
it's mostly B2B, and of course the content, since it's not B2C, it's more informational. So this is why we were able, of course, to produce such an amount of content, because it delves into, it's less transactional, but still.
Pretty interesting. Because
That's a lot of articles.
yeah, for a B2B specifically, because B2C we understand that someone is selling mattresses, someone is selling fitness devices, so they might write tens and hundreds of things about their product, or like an Amazon and all. But B2B, that's why I was very curious. But interesting, if maybe Beatrice, whatever, if that's published somewhere, if you can share it with us, and if it's for public use, we'll be sharing it with all the users and all the panelists if that's of interest, because the main aim is to share introductions, share insights, and be connected, and probably together, change the world and win together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we move to Gian, I guess. So Gian, you have raised the hand from long time, so I keep you waiting. Please, yeah, your insights.
Yeah. Mine is just essentially a spin-off of what Beatrice just said. It's about the importance of personas and in the context of personalization of the conversation. And why? Because it's the only way to really craft a content strategy around personas. It's the only way to be sure that you can be visible to the vastest amount of conversation. Because obviously we cannot track single prompts, so that's a fallacy. And but what I would add is that what I'm experimenting and already doing with clients is orchestrating the content strategy based on deep knowledge of a buyer persona all around the customer journey, not just limiting myself to the informational content, but orchestrating the journey inside all the different phases of the
So top of the funnel, mid of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, like that.
Exactly. But even better, the micro moments of Google. So let's say I want to know, I want to go, and I want to buy. I need help. I want to buy. So this is, and so orchestrating, and then if we can even go further and start looking at creating specific topical hubs in order to not expand in different direction and mixing semantic density and so on and so on. But this is buyer persona first, knowing them really well, and secondly, customer journey. And these are information we can have from the clients. And that in the past, substantially what was happening, the client had this buyer persona, know the customer journey, but then the content was somehow neutral, targeting all the buyer persona at the same moment in the same context, and not really the messaging that was presented, for instance, in the inspirational content, top of the funnel, was not maintained in the middle of the funnel, in the product pages, and so on. So this is in order to maintain visibility all along the search journey, all along the search touch point, which can be so many as we have seen, with a change of behavior. This is the way.
Okay. And where is all that content published? All the buyer persona type topical content on the website itself, on the brand-owned website, or some other sites?
Yeah. So no, it's the same site, but talking about things specific for one persona. If we know that the topic is specifically important for one persona, talk to that persona and not make it neutral for everybody. This is especially important, for instance, in big brands that have multiple types of specific brands for products, specific persona. So you need to really focus on this kind of persona targeting.
Pretty interesting. And are you also using AI to simulate these personas? Like, again, the question lies in how to scientifically come
No, this is one of the things that I really like to be old school. In the sense, I mean, usually clients already have their buyer persona built with specific audience, persona, focus group, and so on, customer care, recognition. What I can do eventually is with their collaboration to improve in segment even more the definition they given, because sometimes these kind of definition are a very high level marketing.
Yeah.
So with AI and with knowledge of insights from search results, generated and so on, you can try to find the nuances inside the personas, and which is something that sometimes is missing from a grand scale marketing style buyer persona profile.
Very interesting. So before we move to Dan, I also have another question, which is, it's just popping up, which I am getting. So Dan, and this is everyone as well, when we go and talk to clients and people and brands, or when even CMOs talk to CEOs and the heads, the question which comes specifically, how will you measure so people look at outcomes and results, right? With AI as well, a lot of questions get asked by brands, which may be logical, may not be logical, are ones: what is the guarantee that we will get indexed? What is the guarantee that we'll appear up in answers? What is the if we spend for 3 months, 6 months, we write a lot of content, we do a lot of optimizations, we use a lot of tools, but how do you ensure that we show up in answers, we show up in AI visibility, and just not waste all that effort, time, insights and all? I guess the question existed in the SEO industry as well, but in the GEO industry, how are we tackling this question? And are there any short strategies, or is it more like experimentation and doing and probably waiting for an organic discovery? So that this is a question, and I guess that is for everyone, which is very, very pressing question. And in the last, I also have one more question. I'm giving it for a food for thought meanwhile other people speak. How is the role of a content marketeer look like 1 year from now and today? And we can look at a content marketeer and maybe the AI marketeer, the digital marketeer. What are the skills when you look for in yourself, in your teams, and in the agencies you hire? How is that going to be evolving? Because that's also one of the questions we collected from the community. A lot of people had this question. People who have been content creators, digital marketeers, marketing heads, how will that role evolve today and maybe 2-3 years from now? That is the last segment we'll take up. But before that, Jess, I guess you are interested for that. We'll come to you before, I guess Dan raised it. So Dan, over to you. The first question: what kind of ROIs do we measure? How do we take it with the stakeholders that this is going to be the outcome of my AI and content efforts, which I'm doing on the visibility or on the ranking or on the show up side?
Well, you packed a lot into that. There's a few questions in there, but I'd like to dismantle one perception straight away. I'd just like to shoot one thing down. There are no two industries. There isn't a GEO industry and SEO industry. There is an SEO industry. And we took over AI as a channel, and that's it, as far as I'm concerned. I know some people disagree. We in the SEO industry have evolved many different things and changes, including mobile and all sorts of things. And it's not like Gianluca mentioned this, it's not like we're new to AI and machine learning. It's been going on since birth, and we're familiar with MUM and everything else.
Yeah.
So my simple answer is, like, if you're driving visibility and you want to demonstrate ROI and you want to ensure that you're up there, that's SEO. Everything that you've been doing good with SEO so far still applies. One thing that really needs to resonate with people is that AI is the interpreter sitting on top of search results. That's it. AI is not large language models, Gemini, Claude, GPT, and so on. They are not memory banks. They get trained and then frozen. So they're frozen in time. They don't have the freshness. So the reason for their knowledge is not to give you the answers and data from the current events and updated information. They are built to have enough knowledge to be able to use the tools to get the fresh data to give you the answers and perform activity.
Right.
So effectively, all your ROIs, all your KPIs, all your strategies remain intact. You do SEO, because if you're not in the mix in the search results, AI is not going to see you to present to the user. Now there is a novelty, and of course there is a denialist camp in the SEO industry saying, "Oh, nothing's changed." A lot has changed, and there are new things at play. So from you mentioned earlier, we were talking about content, and content sizes vary a lot. But what's new and what's changed is and this is something that Jess has touched on, is you will get a tiny little representative snippet from your original content speaking to AI about you, potentially misrepresenting your intent and nuance and completely losing that. So while Jess focused on, insert your brand to get the brand mention, you want to take charge of the narrative, the way that the model speaks about you. So some of the new metrics to get on a practical level will bring us a little bit down. I have two things that I've implemented and that I measure and report to clients.
Okay.
One is the selection rate. Selection rate is the little baby of click-through rate.
Okay.
And this is the ratio and the nature by which the models select from a pool of potential search results and how they integrate it into a generative response. So that's one. So selection rate is then influenced by the primary bias of the model that stems from the pre-training of the model.
Right.
This is the fixed value that doesn't change. So this happens during pre-training, post-training, reinforcement, fine-tuning, and on all these things, alignment to human values and everything that follows, right?
Right.
But first step is to understand the model's primary biases, the attitudes towards or against your brand versus some entity. Entities being top-level concepts you want to be visible for, right? So measuring, probing, surveying models for that primary bias is step one. Step two is understanding how you integrate into citations through citation mining and analysis. So those are two new things, and out of them stem out new metrics that you can report. So to disambiguate a little bit, there's a citation is when you're actually included as one grounding support for a paragraph or a snippet in the generative response.
Yeah.
But there's also a brand mention. So you don't have to be the citation to be mentioned. You could be a third-party mention in somebody else's citation.
Correct.
So these are all examples of the new things that we have to play with now, and these are the types of things that get into our dashboards and reports and metrics. But I'll put a pause on my statement now, and perhaps let Jess take it over. Maybe I did a nice little segue for her. We'll see.
Sure. Quick question here, Dan. Citation mining and analysis, there are a lot of tools. Even in Pluto, we have a tool which can help you do that. How do you measure selection rate? I was very curious for that.
Okay, sure. Let's get technical. So OpenAI has the capability of rejecting URLs for grounding purposes. So selection rate is very straightforward when you mine the OpenAI's API.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the probing, you get the search results, and then out of the search results, all the search results applied in the API response, you will get the status of each URL. Some URLs will be flagged as selected, and some URLs will be flagged as browsed.
Oh.
So there's the browsed and selected.
Oh.
And so one nuance with OpenAI, they ground one chunk, one generative chunk, with one URL. They're sparing. They're not wasting resources because that costs them money. And so in the scandal with the scraping and all that we're well aware with OpenAI. Now with Google has internal grounding confidence scores. So for every URL that supports a generative chunk, you can have multiple URLs. So you can have 1, 2, 3, up to 6, 7. Sometimes I've seen almost 10 grounding supports for one paragraph.
Right.
But what Google does, Google grounds all the URLs, embeds it as the grounding supports for the chunks in the generative output. So that's quite interesting. So with the OpenAI, you can explicitly set up and have a very clear selection rate because you are either selected or not. So that gives you very simple.
Check that on. Are these the branding prompts or generic prompts, or across a set of prompts you check this for?
It all starts from entities, right? So what we do is we take 500,000 tokens worth of context from the search console, the unique search queries. We sort them by clicks down, so descending by clicks. Feed that all into Gemini. That'll be just short of 1 million tokens, and then we ask Gemini to produce entities relevant to the business.
Oh, lovely.
And then so these are top level entities.
Gemini, and then you check those prompts in OpenAI, and then you kind of get a selection rate.
No, there's a step in between. So we generate the entities, and then from the entities stem out prompts. And prompts can involve personas, timing, location, and variety of other facets. So from each entity, you have the prompts, and at the same time, you have the fan out queries. You cannot ignore the fan out queries because when you enter the prompt gets broken down. You have the fan out queries. Each fan out query brings the news results. All the results get brought to the pre-processing script or system, which then filters down. The Gemini doesn't see all the search results. It gets filtered down list, and that filter down list is then getting into the mix for the generative answer, right? So we have the search console data, the classic SEO. Mm-hmm. Then we have the entities. From the entities, we stem out prompts and fan out queries, and then we have citation mining using those prompts. Now, one specific actionable item to leave with people perhaps is like once you have the prompt and once you have the full page text for your content and your competitors, you can actually decide how much of your page and which parts will be used for grounding, which 20% of your page will make it into the grounding. This is called extractive summarization, and it's the core principle behind models like Gemini, because then this is not abstractive summarization, which destroys the original content, but it's extractive summarization. They have to use verbatim chunks from the original page, and they smash them together, separated by ellipses. And that gets packed together as a single string, sent to the model together with the prompt to the model, and then the model generates the response. But you're not the only one. You have yourself and all the competing results, typically 5. So if you're not in the top 5, SEO has just become more important. If you're not in top 5, you're not in the mix for the AI mode answers. For that one specific fan out query, obviously there's multiple fan out queries, so there's a lot of results. So that brings us a little bit closer to like a ground level, the technical implementation of things. And hopefully helps people think about these types of things.
I guess that's super interesting. I'll love to connect with you offline to even go in more detail. Probably we plan another masterclass for this particular thing, and we go into much detail. That's the extractive summarization part, and then spinning up prompts. I guess that's pretty interesting. So would love to connect on that. Meanwhile, for the interest of time, we move to Jess for the original question. And you remember the question, right? Because I'm pretty much overwhelmed with the kind of insights which are coming out. Pretty good. So you want me to repeat the question? You want me to ask AI what was the summary, or you remember?
The question about the analytics and KPIs, or the question about authors and how do you go about choosing authors that are going to be the right people to be writing your content? I think that was it.
I guess both the questions you can take. How the content and content marketeer, that function can evolve, and how do we look at the KPIs specifically in the SEO GEO industry. Although Dan, I disagree a bit. I say GEO is the master universe and SEO is the subset. SEO is definitely important, so our terminologies could be different. But yeah, SEO, GEO, AEO, everything is important. So I believe SEO's canvas has expanded, right? But we call it the geo space. You can call it the SEO space. We can coexist. That's a point for separate discussion. Sorry, just coming back to you. So yeah, the KPIs in the new industry, how to measure ROI, and the role of content marketer.
So I'll keep the KPIs part short because I think Dan did an excellent job in going into the technical details. If I was going to report on those technical details to an executive or someone who wasn't a marketer in the industry, I would definitely use share of voice. This is something that they're very familiar with, seeing that sort of metric from traditional marketing, your offline that's been there for 40, 50 years plus. So when you can connect that to that familiarity, particularly if you're speaking to a CMO or a CEO or a board of directors, having something saying, this is our share of voice, and here it is on Gemini, here it is on ChatGPT, here it is on traditional search. It's a metric that applies across social media, across YouTube. It's so universal that it's very healthy and happy and understandable and graspable, and it gives you context, which I think is extremely important, to have that competitive context as part of your KPIs, which is something that was missing from traditional SEO when we were looking at clicks to our website. Okay, that's great. But if your website clicks went up 5% and your competitors all went up 20%, are you still happy with your 5%? And we didn't really have that as a key focus historically. And I think AI has really brought that into the forefront. That is about that competitive context. So for me, share of voice is my go-to metric.
Like, follow up on that, how do you measure share of voice in the new industry? Like, how will you measure?
Very similar to what Dan's doing, although I don't build the tools myself. I use other people's tools that they build. So there's lots of prompt trackers out there.
Right.
And as long as you have a strategically selected sample of prompts where you're not biasing towards yourself or biasing to a certain subset of the industry. Think of your prompt selection with the same scientific rigor you would feel around selecting people for a focus group. If I have a focus group, I'm not going to select 100 white female women. I'm going to select a good subset of all of my target audience.
Yeah.
We need to think of the same with our prompt selection.
I guess that becomes a very good skill for the content marketer of tomorrow then, right? Because tool
very
can
much so.
tracking, but what to track is something the human has to decide.
And you'll know you have it right because there'll be a correlation between your share of voice and the market share. If there's no correlation between those two metrics, and obviously you need to track that over, it's not a week-on-week thing. It's at maximum quarter-on-quarter. Being realistic, it's more 6 months or even annual type tracking. But you should see a correlation between those two lines, and that's when you know you've got the right prompt database running for you when those lines are correlating together. It'll become a leading indicator of your market share, and that is definitely something that the CEO is going to be paying a lot of attention to and wanting that metric to move up. So that's my KPI side. On the content creator, I think what's really going to change there is that these content creators, it's not enough to be a good writer. You need to be someone who is a good writer, who is genuinely interested in the industry that you're writing about, and who has a digital footprint. And I think this is important for 3 reasons. The first reason that it's important for them to have that digital footprint is it means that they are more likely to be, or it's easier to become, an entity in the knowledge graph. Because if you're not an entity in the knowledge graph, you can't really give authority into a piece because Google doesn't know you exist and doesn't care. And so if Google knows you and knows you're an expert on topic X and you're writing about topic X, or even about right next to it, topic X and topic Y, then you have authority. If you're a topic X expert and you start writing about topic B, very far away, nothing to do with it, that authority doesn't transfer. So it's really got to be someone who is already or is willing to become, and it's quite a bit of work to become, but you're an entity in the knowledge graph. And that's very easy to look up. It's got a queryable API. You can literally put someone's name in, select the person entity, and see if they're known to Google. A second reason that you want to have...
Like this brands also, not just the persons, this authority.
Yes, brands as well. Any entity by Google's definition of an entity, you can look it up in the knowledge graph and you can see the strength of that entity and you can see what facts it knows. The name, the image, the URL it's primarily associated with, a description of that entity if it's strong enough.
And
There's a lot of interesting.
API you mentioned, SERP API.
Well, there's lots of knowledge graph explorers that you can just like literally Google knowledge graph explorer, and a whole bunch of them will come up if you're not comfortable with APIs yourself. If you're comfortable with APIs, or you just want to use an ChatGPT to give you the code, you can also use that to query the API yourself.
Got it. But Google itself provides a first-party API, or there are other third-party tools? Just
Google itself is providing that API.
got it.
So it's directly from the big source. So that's very helpful.
Right.
So that's the first thing you want to see with your content creators. Are they an entity? The second thing you want to ask yourself is, does this person have genuine insights, an interesting opinion? Can they contribute to the conversation? Could they be on an expert call? Or at least be a budding one on an expert call if they're a junior. That's only going to come if you've got a real passion for whatever that category is or that industry is. And if you tell me, oh, I work in this really niche B2B field, have you seen subreddits? Because there's people who are interested in everything.
Yeah.
There are people who are interested in the strangest combinations of things. There will be someone out there who loves carpets. There'll be somebody out there who's fascinated by tennis balls. Like, just find that person who has that passion for whatever the thing is, because they do exist. And they will have opinions, genuine opinions and genuine insights, and happy to do the research and happy to network. And they're the ones who are going to be able to provide that information gain, rather than just rehashing and reciting what's already existing in the industry. And then the third thing where you're looking for with your content creators is that because they're an entity in the knowledge graph, because they have a genuine interest in the industry, and because they have this digital footprint, they should also come with a built-in audience. And so when I'm publishing that content, are they happy to then take that piece because they're proud of it, because they wrote it, it's their true opinion? Do they share that with their community proactively? I'd never build this into a contract as a requirement. I don't think that's fair. But when I write a piece, I will self-promote it, no matter where I'm publishing that piece, because I'm proud of it. I put hours of work into it. And so I will share that out with my community. Or they're happy to be the face of the brand and build up the brand's community. Like, they want to put themselves out there for that industry, for that brand. And so it's not that you then have to have, here is my content writer, and then it goes to my editor, and then it goes to my social media team, and then the social media team puts it online. Like, that's so many unnecessary steps, when if you just have someone who's truly in love with the industry, they can be all those things. They can engage on your blog, they can engage on your social media, they can engage on all of these relevant brand touch points, and you can train them up. Social is an algorithm, SEO is an algorithm, AI is a very, very advanced different type, but it's still an algorithm at the end of the day. Probably Dan will fight me on that, but it's a similar thinking, right? And it knows who you are. So you better be someone who's relevant.
Very interesting, pretty insightful. Yeah, we move to pay.
I'll just do a quick one. I mean, all I say to Jess is that's a really tall order for someone to have all that. I mean, we work
And
with an
that's why it's a
agency.
competitive advantage.
Yeah, of course. We do work with SEO experts as well, or agencies. And my struggle, and that's for any agencies out there, my struggle is that it's in this AI world, in this world that we're in, anything is Googleable. Anything you can kind of pick it up from even forums like this. You're going to self-research, you're going to Reddit. So the agencies really, really need to do way more than they've ever done before, and more so in the next 5 years. Like, I need insight, like having a digital audience already readily available, and writing that piece. And like you said, a good writer is not good enough, and that's the struggle that I've really started seeing now. it will be much worse 5 years from now, because it will be even more information that we can easily pick up just like that. So yeah, I totally agree with you, but I do find it quite difficult for, it is a tall order. It is a tall order. So my respect to you on that one.
God, it's pretty interesting insight. So we have, I guess, 10 more minutes. So we'll, Shamendra, you want to comment? And then I'll also love to take a chance to show you the tool we have in IcyPluto for doing all these things. And I guess a lot of things we also want to advise. One of my opinions is I'll also tell you 2-3 to-dos, maybe follow-ups, because we just don't want to do a community mixer and then forget each other and stuff like that. We want to actually build real entities and real knowledge graphs over here. Jess, so basically, there could be a lot of areas. See, one, we are publishing a report along with the AI World Organization and 50 plus brands. I guess, Pete, this will be very relevant for you and Shamendra as well, where we are putting together the marketing problems and how AI is solving what AI is not able to solve, and a state of AI in marketing report we are compiling. So would be happy to get your case studies and probably your problems. And on the other side, the solution providers, like your insights on how that is, doing. That is one area if you want to collaborate on that research. That's going out in this IMF event in Singapore on 28th of May, right? So we have good 3 months. The report is half made. All the primary research is done, then a couple of other insights and things which we can collaborate on. That's one area. Second is, I guess, we are planning a lot of master classes with the community, people who want to learn and all. So happy to get you on board, like specifically the areas and expertise you guys come from. And I guess there are a lot of interesting insights from each one of you coming on this. So I would like to personally invite you for that as well. Like Vinayak will be in touch. We organize these coffee chats and corporate breakfast and even international business corridor between the countries. But maybe at least virtually we do a lot of stuff. And we also do, these international delegations and this expert transfer and stuff like that. So that is something I love to collaborate on. And third thing is for the IcyPluto tool, which we are building, that's also built by marketeers. So we are also open for advisory board over there, and people who want to contribute to the product, kind of improve it. And in return, they get, lifetime free access of the tool and all that stuff. So it's like when you help us build and then you use it for free for your entire life and stuff like that. So we have very interesting, collaboration opportunities over there, since the field is evolving with our current expertise. And we already have 100 plus brands on board, like the likes of Lenovo and Woodland and all that stuff. But of course, there are a lot more things coming every day. We want a very strong community of marketeers and advisors to be on board, should be adding their contribution. Like just you were saying that you use other people's tools, right? So maybe if you can help improve this tool. So I'll also take probably 5 minutes to take you through that quick demo of the tool. It does everything what typically a lot of tools are doing, plus some unique things, plus a lot of features are in WIP, which will love to take insights from you. So that's the future step. So before that, if we can take a summarizing note from the people who want to kind of summarize this discussion, maybe Shamendra, if you want to just take it forward. Yeah. So you are on mute.
Sorry, I did see Gianluca, you had your hand up. So if you want to go first, please do.
No, I mean, it was related to the previous question. And then I wanted just to bring a 1 minute case study, not at all a client of mine, but it's something that I've seen working fantastically well. And I'm a mini painter in my free time. And I don't know if you know Game Workshop and Warhammer. And they do sometimes, from a technical standpoint of SEO, not a wonderful SEO, but they're really cool and great brand. And they always use creators for expanding the brand and for reaching their audiences. But not only the classic content creators, external content creators, let's say very famous mini painters, but using their own people inside the company as creators. And not really the people designing the game, but the people designing the paintings and designing how to paint the minis with which you have to play Warhammer. In fact, the most important asset for Warhammer, for Game Workshop, is not even the website in terms of visibility. It's super visible, obviously, but it's the YouTube channel. And then we move it from the YouTube channel to the social media, reels, shorts, and so on. And then obviously we are a great, huge company, a very consumer-based company, and they now, we are going to break out in also for entertainment and TV series, cartoon, and so on, like Lego did in the past. So using the concept that Jess told, there are good examples that exist, and sometimes they can be also translated to other kind of company, not necessarily Warhammer or Game Workshop. I mean, if you have, for instance, you are in a B2B, use your engineers, for instance, as the content creator, in the sense that the people who can assess you about what kind of content that should be written, should be created, what is the best format, and so on and so on. So to really create that content which is matters for you, and then using them, helping them becoming entering into the knowledge graph for the things that they are known about. Usually these kind of engineers have digital footprints that you must connect in order to make them pop up into a knowledge graph. But it's not so complicated at the end of the day.
Got it. Pretty relevant.
Harpreet, I actually, Ganoko brought up something that I was going to say as well, right? So we did talk about content creation, about amount of content, being on the right graphs. That's a challenge that happens a lot in the B2B industry.
Correct.
Because the content you want to create is very specific. You may not be able to find a lot of people who are there, right? So what Ganoko said, actually advocacy. I mean, that's a term I think all of us know.
Yeah.
That should be used. And I think a lot of organizations do. I know at Belden, we do that as well. And trying to engage our own internal people to write content because they're the experts. So, you can call them subject matter experts. You want to call them content creators.
Yeah.
It's all different terms for the same way, right? So if you use our own internal teams, that's the best way to get the right content. Now, they may not have a great digital footprint. Of course, it needs to be built on. But if you have two great people with good digital footprint, it will help build the others. So it's like passing the baton, right? I mean, ensuring that you continue to build this. So advocacy for any organization is very helpful, especially when we want to use even externally created content. Whether it's just one article or 800 articles, you need to push it out. And as long as it's from within the organization, becomes better. I just wanted to put that out there, that not only advocacy, but like Dan said, right? You mentioned as well, SEO could be the base. SEO could be reducing. SEO could actually be much bigger than we're expecting it to be.
Yeah.
But it's all the evolution of technologies, how all of them are continuing to link with each other and building off each other. Right. So one cannot survive without the other. The extent of interaction will depend, but it's how the journey will continue and things will continue to evolve. I just wanted to put that last note in.
Perfect. I guess perfectly summarized. So we discussed a lot of areas from the problem to the change to the strategies for today to the strategies on persona, on how to create content, the frequency, the type, what's changing, and then eventually how what are the KPIs to track and what will be the role of tomorrow, be it a marketing strategist and content marketer. So I guess pretty insightful discussion, and I guess the time was very short to cover aspects of all the aspects of this discussion. But I guess we're happy to take it to forward, have a next edition and next version of that at your available times with having more guests on board, right? I'll also take the last 5 minutes to show the tool and the platform of IcyPluto if you can, give your insights, and then we can connect offline as well if you want to come on the advisory board or want to help improve the tool, want to try it out. So Vinayak, team, can you bring the Pluto platform up? Share your screen.
I'll just do that.
Yeah. By the way, how many countries and how many different cities we have on the call? I guess 6, 7, right? All of us are joining from different time zones, right? So it's how many of you are situated in the evening time zone, late night? I guess most of us
Here.
evening here. Okay, sorry to be taking your leisure time, but yeah, we'll just. So this is basically the Pluto platform. So it has a lot of AI agents inbuilt into that. So we call it as an agentic AI platform. And on the back end, we have a lot of LLMs baked in. We have our fine-tuned SLMs as well by Rabbit AI, which we use to do a lot of things. So first one is the SEO Max, which is again very similar to what is there on the Google Lighthouse, but plus a lot of other things. And what it does is it tells you the problems in your site, the technical optimization, not just from an SEO POV, but also from an AI engine POV, that maybe the LLMs.txt, the JSON LD file on your website. So if you scroll down and just show the diagnostics and suggestions, click on one thing, like FCP, LCP is there. Click on one thing. So the data, the diagnostics, it captures from all the tools on the back end. It is integrated with 80 plus tools. The insights and fixes it spins off of its own, right? That how to fix this particular issues, what it has learned on the marketing side, and it acts as a CMO's dashboard specifically for their website and thousands and 10,000s of pieces which are there on their website in terms of the optimization, the cyber security, and the loading time and performance and mobile optimization. So all those areas are being captured over here. For every issue, you have top issues aligned on your dashboard and how to fix it and what are the corresponding fixes. So this is what the SEO Max does. Then we have something called as the GEO board. You click on that. GEO board is again similar to Dan, what you were saying, that it actually checks the content piece which is there. If you put in your URL, which it scans through, and then on the left-hand side, if you click on the drop-down, Google, Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, Claude, so it is there. So it simulates their boards and tells you that basis that how is your content ranking on various parameters. So if you just click on that, it shows one of the companies we picked up, which is public information right now. So it shows these 5 parameters which we have kind of researched and put together. And this is based on research from a lot of people, but our own novel research and empirical assessment, that GEO depends on these 5 parameters: named entity score, cosine vicinity, monosemanticity score, structure data markup, and contextual relevance. So named entity we all were talking about, and this we say is very similar to SEO and GEO because it was keywords and entities in SEO. Similarly here, is your content having that? Cosine vicinity is more about internal linking and how similar your queries are there, how similar the content on your site is there to generally asked queries. So it gives a score. So nearer the better, closer similarity, better chances of you being ranked for a particular topical authority. Monosemanticity similar means that the same thing which Jess was also mentioning, that but covered in the tool, that if you're an expert in topic A and you're writing about B, probably that is taken as negatively. Or monosemanticity means that the content or the piece or the entire semantic meaning of that piece should be singular. If it is if it is leading to confusing signals, like you are a housing loan site and you're also telling on the same page about probably the best softwares to buy for marketing. So you are kind of confusing the board, right? The vectors which are generated from your embedding somewhere are not very relevant, or otherwise you can get re-ranked or you can get de-ranked because of not giving a clear signal of what your page contains. So that's what monosemanticity covers. Structure data markup score, very technical, very objective, is that basis the schema.org, which was true for SEO as well. indexing as well, plus the all the is the JSON version of all the structured data which is there on your site, website, sorry, PDFs, videos, and images. Is it there as an alternative thing is there for LLMs to parse it quickly and understand what it contains? Higher the better. And final one is contextual relevance, which is the freshness, originality, and uniqueness of the content specific to the context for which your product and your service and your page stands for. So this does a page-wise analysis and also an overall analysis of the entire website. This is a component where you can, whenever you write a content or a piece of content or you deploy it on your site, it keeps on telling you how these parameters, analyzing and simulating for a GPT, for a Perplexity, for a Claude, basis that how your site and structure is coming up. And this acts more like a diagnostic tool. And then we have AI visibility. If you deny that, so there's an option to connect it with Google Console as well to get real data. And so here you can show the PwC one again when you publicly captured. So here basically all the prompt tracking and carefully selecting the prompt. So we have an option where you can manually put in the prompts or decide it, or AI in Pluto's AI engine itself decides basis your industry and variants what could be the top relevant and categories of prompts which could be there. And it typically decides almost 1,000 prompts, a sample set of 1,000 prompts, and then a lot of more prompts which keep on running across models and tells you your visibility, your presence, and sentiment and average position. So for example, we did an analysis for PwC over here. So it shows on OpenAI versus Gemini versus Perplexity. What is their average position across all this is 2.3, visibility of 68, and how that's calculated. It also keeps on telling with time. It also keeps on telling that as a time series analysis. So if you scroll down, Vinayak, so it tells the AI model traffic which is coming to the site once it's connected to your GSC, or we put a tag inside your website. So there it is able to track all the traffic which is coming from GPT, Gemini, or Google bots and Perplexity bot. And it is able to actually tell you that over time how is it increasing or decreasing. Plus it is able to track something called as zero-click traffic. So zero-click traffic, as a lot of you were saying, that now the discovery is happening about your brand without coming to your brand. So it simulates almost thousands, 10,000s of prompts related to your industry and bases your competitors and tell you where you are present and where they are present. You can choose your competitors. So if you scroll down, you see that competitor tab across those thousands of prompts. Just keep scrolling down. So here you can choose the competitors and they keep on seeing that where they are getting ranked. Like here, you see for PwC, you're getting Deloitte, McKinsey, KPMG, ADP, BDO, EY, BCG, Accenture, and where they are ranking, what is their average position across all that, simulated data, those thousands of prompts across 10 different buckets keep on running. Where are you ranking? Where are they ranking? What is the mention? What is the rank? What is the visibility? So that keeps on agentically working for you. And basis this tracking, then it also analyzes why someone else is ranking and why you are not ranking, and what are the probably white areas where you could rank. So this is competitor overlap. If you just go, so there's an overlap that in what areas you're sharing common space, common entities, and common prompts. So we also have entities and then we have related prompts. And what we track, one of the innovations we have done is the semantic meaning of a prompt. So there could be similar semantic meaning of a prompt, and then there could be thousands of ways that prompt can be asked. So we give that score, and then we decompose the prompts and we revert the prompts and put it into one category. So there could be thousands of ways of writing, tell me top 10 brands for buying a laptop. So all that is covered in one category, and we simulate all those. Our agents simulate that, and then it tells you who's ranking, who's not ranking. What you get at the end of it is a prompt winner. For example, you see here, right, top global professional services firms. So there's no clear winner. That means there's a white space. And once you kind of go deep into that, top global professional services firms is an entity, basically. There could be thousands of prompts related to it. where somebody is not emerging as a clear winner today, as of today. So that's a white space for you. It tells brands on that. Similarly, another prompt is leading audit and tax service providers. So globally, Deloitte is the one which is kind of coming as a top player and always visible. So Deloitte is kind of given a prompt winner. So for Deloitte also, it's a good news. For other people, it's a reference point that maybe they are there, so we could also be there. And similarly, Global Professional Services Network for businesses, BDO Global is coming as an outsourcing company, as a accounting company. And then it gives you prompt opportunities after that winner, which you can do something on a daily basis to improve your citations, to improve your visibility, and to improve your authority. And doing all this, we have the final agent, which is called as IcyQuill. If you click on that, so that generates the content plan for you after getting all this analysis, the prompts you're missing. So it does two things. One, it gives you suggestions on how to rewrite your existing content. And second is what to post next, what to prepare next, and what kind of topics you can write with that. And it gives you a structure. It can also write the content, but we don't advocate that right now. We advocate more it for research purpose, to get the areas where you should write about, and then basis that areas you can spin off the topics basis the personas, as Gian you were saying, the prompt area, the personas, and the buyer journey, and involving those, having the real data from the models on time, and then combining that, then you kind of create a structure, and then you can create a content, publish it, and the journey continues. You can track it, how that content is behaving on your site, technically, structure wise, AI visibility, and citation wise, and the story goes on. So this is a kind of platform which we have built. We are just in a reaching century, so there are almost 93, 94 brands which are already the partner with us, and this all happened in last 1.5 year. Prior to that, it took us 2 years to kind of experiment and build it. And so again, a lot of things which should be there, which we are improving. We integrate with GA and GSC, and one of the novel technologies we have is we are also able to track the website traffic which is coming to your site for various purposes, which even today Google does not have. Google only tells you that this much bot traffic is coming and this much is the referral traffic. So it does not tell you for what purpose the traffic would have come to your site. So there could be 4 ways an AI bot is coming to your site. Then you would agree to this. So there is one which is coming for just their own training data. They are coming every time you publish something. The OpenAI engines, OpenAI bots, and GPT and Perplexity bots, they come and they just get trained on that data. One is it comes for basically indexing your site and that indexing purpose. And third is an area when someone is actually searching, and through a RAG model, your site is getting surfaced, and then the bot is coming to your site to capture certain things. So basis different types of, so these Perplexity and GPT has different type of bot naming as well. Plus we have some heuristic estimation where we can see from the behavior of the AI agent that what they have come to the site for. And then we are actually able to tell you the real AI traffic which is coming to your site for search purpose and user query purpose, not just for regular indexing and training of AI models. So that is a novel thing. We are already in talks to integrate it with Google Analytics. Right now, it's just if we put a tag on your site, a Google tag on your site, we are able to track it. And the same comes on that platform. So if you go to AI visibility platform, how that shows up, you can also look at that. Once this is connected, just go to AI visibility Vinayak. Then just or just go to GeoMax, I believe. Yes, on the GeoMax, you'll have it. Probably, I guess. It's not set up. Once the Google Search Console is integrated, it shows up that you can check the demographics and all the traffic which is coming from LLM sessions, how the traffic is different from your regular sources versus the traffic which is coming from AI bots, how they are behaving differently in terms of sessions, engaging, clicks. So all that stuff is the next module, which also it tells you. And then it tells you probably what kind of fixes you can do in your content or structure or technical optimization of the site. So yeah, that was it. And then happy to get your suggestions here, quick suggestions here, and then maybe detailed suggestions, and happy to try this tool out, like give this to you to improve it, to test it, to even kind of build it further. So yeah, that's all. And thanks for being a wonderful audience. Thanks for sharing lovely insights. I hope there's a lot of value which has come from all of us, all of you, a lot of insights. So happy to be hosting this panel. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Any quick suggestions do you have, or any quick questions on the tool do we have, or we close it?
I would like to say some things, but if I open my mouth, we will be on for another hour, and a dinner is waiting for me. So I think it's wise to wrap up, and maybe we can take it offline.
Take it offline,
Yeah.
for sure. Happy to take that, Dan. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, everyone, and thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. Happy to again, invite you for another roundtable to take this further to next level. Happy to take particular problem statements to talk about, solve, and happy to engage you further in the master classes of the community, specifically on the AI marketing SEO GEO. And if any one of you is available, want to come to the Singapore event, IMF event. So there's a big gathering of 500 marketeers and brands over there. Would love to recommend your, slot to the organic slots and the speaking section and panel section to the AI world or community. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it's
Thank
a
you.
great occasion to be all
Thank
together
you.
and discussing.
Yes.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good evening and enjoy dinner, Dan.
Yeah.
Bye.